So it's kind of... All right, now we're live.
All
Hello,
right.
everyone. I mean, people usually see later, so it's okay if we don't have interaction. But I mean, we can talk together. So we have here Dave. Dave Lee is Dave with Dave, right?
That's right. Mhm.
Right. Lee's English. And basically we're gonna talk a lot in English, okay, guys? So get ready, stay sharp for that moment. And he's gonna talk a little bit about his experience of learning Portuguese. We're gonna help you how to learn English effectively, how to use music and sitcoms, things like that, in your advantage, right? So, where are you from? Tell me about yourself. What do you do? What do you do on the internet?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I was blown away when I had the interview with Professor Denilson from Inglês na Ponta da Língua, and he
Yeah.
mentioned you. And then afterwards, I saw you sent me a message, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is so cool!" So thank you
Mhm.
for having me. And
Wow.
yes, I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, which is where Elvis Presley lived. So a very musical city, a place known for the blues. It was where blues was actually first written. And then we moved when I was 2 years old to a city in South Mississippi called Columbia, which is very close to New Orleans, Louisiana, where jazz comes from. So there's a lot of music in my background. My father
Amazing.
was a businessman. He also played guitar and piano, and my mother was an English teacher, and she played piano as well. Uh, and when I went to college, I studied business, but I always enjoyed helping the international students work on their English through conversation. And after college, I actually married a Brazilian who did not speak English. And,
This
and
happens more often than not. Like,
yeah,
we
it's
see this a lot.
the really challenging thing was I didn't speak Portuguese either. So I quickly learned the two most important phrases in Portuguese: "Eu te amo" e "café está pronto."
O café
So
está pronto. That's
yeah, if
quite
you know these
important.
two things, you've got it made for a while. But
Yeah.
everybody had advice, oh, your wife needs to do this, your wife needs to do that to learn English. But the first real big leap forward for my wife was when a friend of mine said, "Let her come study with my students." And I looked at the lady kind of funny and I said, "No, I'm not going to do that because one, you're not even an English teacher. And two, all of your students are 6 years old." So, and she said, "Yes, I teach children, but I teach them the 44 sounds of English, the phonemes." Uh, and I said, "So does this help?" She said, "Yes, because many languages don't have all of these phonemes." And she said, "I've even helped Chinese people learn English through pronunciation." I was like, "Wow, okay." So she went there. And after that, it became much easier to understand other things. Later, I developed what I called my 5-star method. And the first star is pronunciation. The second is intonation, because the syllable stress, syllable tonica, is even more important than the pronunciation many times.
True.
The third thing is reduction, because from listening to music, North Americans love to reduce
To
words.
shorten up.
And then the fourth thing is uh, the linking, or fala conectado, because in English, a lot of words just naturally link to each other. And then
The
the fifth
connected
thing,
speech. Yeah.
right, connected speech. And then the fifth thing is the student himself or herself, because everyone is different. Everyone has different goals and different difficulties. And so in 2018, my father passed away, and I told my wife, I said, "Look, we don't have much family left here in the U.S. Would you like to move back to Brazil?" She said, "Sure. Let's move to Piauí." I said, "No, Piauí's too hot." I said, I said, "Let's move to
Try
Brazil."
Rio de Janeiro. Try.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
staring at my porch and it's freaking hot. My golden retriever, it's like, "Mom, please.
Yeah,
Help me
I
out.
understand. Yeah. So I said, let's move to Brasilia instead. You have relatives. And so we moved to Brasilia. I opened an English school called Dave Lee's English. Pandemic shut it down, basically. But I had already started teaching online. And my wife said, look, you're teaching online now. Why don't we move now? Because you can teach anywhere. And I said, okay. We did move to Piauí, which is where we are now, in a little city called Santa Luís, where Whindersson Nunes' parents live. And let's see. And now I have students in, I don't know, about 10 different countries. Most of my students are Brazilians, but I have several from other countries as well.
So, since most of your students are Brazilian, what do you see in common regarding their struggles?
A lot of it has to do with certain English sounds, like the TH, the TH sounds, the R, the really strong ehi, the caipira ehi, and then also the structure. Sometimes the structure is very similar between Portuguese and English. Sometimes it's completely different. Phrasal verbs, this is something that only exists in English as far as I know. Other languages don't have phrasal verbs. So you learn a verb, but then you put a different preposition with it and it completely changes the meaning.
And sometimes not. Sometimes doesn't completely change the meaning, and you use
Yeah.
either way. And we get like, what the hell? Why did you put like hold and hold down? What is the purpose?
Write and write down. It's like the same thing.
Of course, it's write down. I don't have to say down. And
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
not going to write up. Yeah.
So this stings a lot. This is one of my struggles so far. I've been teaching English for, I don't know, 9 years now, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And it's, yeah, it is a struggle. Sometimes we it's a constant learning, and something you and the Nilsu talked, which I really relate to, is this, always learning, you never stop. And students have to bear this in mind, because there's never going to be an end. I see, I don't know, Law and Order, and I learn a word for that kind of, that particular context that I would never use if I wouldn't watch it. So
Right.
it's for life, and they have to have that. It's not how long does it take for me to become fluent. You don't have to think about this question. You just have to, am I better than before? Am I learning? Is it working? You have to ask those questions.
Right.
That's important.
Yeah, and that's why it's a good idea. Sometimes I suggest students, okay, record yourself right now, then come back a month later and listen. You can see your improvement, because otherwise you think, I haven't improved any, but really you have, and don't even realize it.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And do you think, from my experience, I don't know, because I'm not a native speaker, but I think I speak well.
Oh, yes, you do.
But I've learned since I've been learning English since I was 4. Actually, it was early age, the early childhood, and with through music. So that's why I teach here
Great.
now on YouTube, So
Great.
basically, I sing forever. I love it. My guitar's here. I play instruments. So this helped me a lot with this kind of singing thing that English have, That's why, I don't know if it's my impression, but it feels, I don't know, it sounds better, English songs, than other languages. It's just
Really?
the rhythm. I don't know, it's so smooth. I really like it. And it helped me a lot with intonation, stressing, reductions, and everything that you're saying. And sometimes we don't even pay attention, right? You don't even know why you connect words. You just do naturally.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like Portuguese, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I launched a course last year called Fala Galera, because I was looking at things, one, that helped my wife learn English, and two, that I saw that I thought were missing maybe in a lot of the traditional English schools. When I lived in Brasilia, I could literally walk from my apartment to 10 different language schools. And I was thinking, wow, you can find English schools all over the place, but it's so hard to find someone who's actually fluent. And I was like, what's
True.
missing? And it's
True.
basically these things, because most schools don't teach pronunciation. They don't teach intonation and reduction. They say, no, we're not going to teach that. That's incorrect English. And then linking is something that happens naturally. And so I put all these in that course because,
True.
if you don't have these,
Yeah.
but during the course, I actually used a little bit of music and 2 or 3 times.
Always.
And one thing I used the Brazilian national anthem, like the first part, and the American national anthem. And I said, look, you have syllaba tonicas, and the syllabus tonicas are usually longer, louder, and higher in pitch. And Brazilian national anthem. So you have
That's a
this
very good analogy. Yeah.
and the American national anthem. So each song has its own rhythm, and these are 2 of the most recognizable, powerful songs in the world, in my opinion. And but they're so different, but they work. They're so beautiful and powerful because of the rhythm that they have.
Yeah, people say that they say that English is really tricky sometimes regarding pronunciation. Do you find it the same concerning Portuguese or no?
Yeah, it's funny. My wife and I used to argue about which is harder to learn, English or Portuguese. I said, "Oh, English is much easier to learn. I was speaking English when I was just 2 years old," and she's like, "No, that's not right." But the pronunciation in Portuguese is much more consistent and simpler. There are fewer phonemes, fewer sounds in Portuguese. I think there are about 34 and about 8 vowels in Portuguese, and there are 44 sounds in English and about 20 vowels, depending on how you count a vowel.
True.
So yeah, the pronunciation is definitely simpler in Portuguese. The verb tenses, that's a little trickier.
That's true, which is the other way around, right? In English.
Right,
I know that
absolutely.
you have difficulties with the sound, that chew, I know you have difficulties with São Paulo, to say like São. It's not so.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Sound.
Sound, you make it more nasal, like sound. Yeah. Because it doesn't exist at all, right? In English, you don't have that.
Right. Yeah, and those sounds that don't exist between languages, those are the ones you have to work on. I actually have a vowel chart because basically any sound, but especially vowels, you have to think about 3 things, like where's your chin? And in other words, how open is your mouth? Is it like nearly closed, like with the E sound? Like we say cheese. When we want people to smile, say cheese, because your teeth come together, your lips go back. And then you have the sound, like an actor, your mouth has, or black cat, your mouth has to be wide open. So you got your chin, you have your tongue can go up or down. It can also go forward or back. And then you have your lips can go forward. Like when you say YouTube, your lips have to go forward for the oo sound, or they have to go back for that E sound, or they could be neutral. And so I have a chart with all of the sounds, and the ones that are really tricky for Brazilians are the ones that are close together but aren't the same, like the bed and bad and said and sad, things like that.
Yeah, for us, it's pretty much the same thing. So just run out. If you're not used to it, if you're not aware of it, you just tend to pronounce the same. Ribamari is saying like pão, limão, irmão. So
yes,
yeah,
irmão.
that's it. And this one that you said, like, this is a very interesting topic that Brazilians always search for, the difference between like beat and the other one, so because it's hard for us to stress, we're not used to it, like beat, let's go to the beat to have cheese. Like it seems like forever. You never
right stop. Exactly. Yeah. And
You said that you had a music background. What do you
right.
like listening to?
Oh, well, first of all, when I was 14, I learned to play drums, and I played in bands off and on over the years, like mostly
Ooh.
rock bands, blues bands, some contemporary Christian bands, and so just all kinds of music. And yeah, oh, and I'll tell you this. Somebody reminded me of this just a few days ago. One of my most embarrassing moments was when this other drummer called me up and he said, "Look, Dave, I've got a gig, a show
Uh-huh.
in another city, but I have one in our city too. I can do the first half, but then I'll need to leave before the second set. Can you play drums for me on the second set?" I said, "Well, what are you playing?" He said, "Oh, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton,
Oh my
uh,
God.
all
Like
this." And
hardcore.
I was like, actually, cool. This is the kind of music I like to listen to. And I said, sure, no problem. So I go do the gig, the second half of the gig, and I'm playing drums. Everything's going fine. We get to the end of the show, and there's a pretty good number of people still around, and they're not leaving. Somebody yells out, "Hey, do you know this song called Old Timey Rock and Roll?" So what we had been playing is classic rock, also called Old Timey Rock and Roll. But there's actually a song called Old Timey Rock and Roll. And our lead singer, he said, "Well, I know it, but I don't know the words." The guitar player, "I know it, but I don't know the words." The keyboard, "I know it, I don't know the bass. I know it." I said, "I know it, and I know the words, but I forgot one thing. I'm a terrible singer." And so they were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I started singing, "Just like those old records off the
Oh my
shelf."
God. Like out of pitch.
Yeah. Oh, it was awful. I think everybody left by the time we were done. Yeah. So I found out a way to get people to leave. Oh
Yeah.
man. But I love music. I love to listen to actually sing something. I have to practice a lot. I have a decent range, from my low notes to my high notes.
Yeah.
But as far as singing, I have to practice a lot to actually sound right. So I try to stick to the drums. But I like
Do
all
you
kinds of different music.
like recommend your students to listen to English music? And plus, do you take Brazilian music for you to improve your Portuguese?
Yeah, I actually did some of that. Are you familiar with the app called Lyrics Training?
Oh, I love it. It's amazing. Lyrics training.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
I
I
learned
love it.
some Portuguese on that. Great app. And then I did. I do recommend. Well, I always kind of interview my students when we first meet, and one of the questions I ask them is there any kind of music you like to listen to? And if they mention any English bands or singers, uh, I'll make a note of that, and I say, hey, if you'd like to, one of the ways we can practice English is through music, and we can look at the words to your favorite song. You just tell me what it is, and we'll do that. And I have one person that I'd say about one out of every 5 or 6 classes, that's what she wants to do. Just look at a new favorite song of hers and figure out the words. And it's great because I tell people, have you ever heard of the Clube Polyglota do Brazil?
Sure. I am a polyglot, actually. So I'm
All
there.
right, awesome. Well, I actually, when I lived in Brasilia, Aguas Claras, I would go to the weekly meetings, and I told
Awesome.
them,
I've been there once only.
"Oh, okay, yeah." They have online meetings, which is good when you want to practice. But I would go in person, and they would always ask me, "So, are you a polyglot?" And I'd say I'm the perfect example of how not to become a polyglot, because I have spoken at least to a low level 10 different languages, but right now I can only speak 2 because
Oh,
because I stopped practicing the others. And one that I got to a pretty good level at was Romanian. And
oh.
so I went to Romania one time. So before I went, I studied real hard. I learned some Romanian. I spoke to some people there. Then I came back to the US, never had the motive to continue learning Romanian. And the only thing I remember to this day is a song I learned in Romanian. So music really sticks in your head.
You see, guys? Because that's the key point. Music, it's entertaining. And I think what drives us to learn something, it's our, goal. If I start doing something in my life, business wise, personal life, or anything alike, I just have to have a clear goal, because otherwise I will, get lost in the process. It's not going to be like a long-term journey. Just gonna, I'm not going to stick to it. So we have to have that. And when we like something, this is so powerful because, you just enjoy. You're not worried about anything else. You just like it. So when I sing and I play the guitar, I'm practicing my English indeed, but I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just singing because I like it. So we have to do what you like and take the most out of it, I guess, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because two big keys to learning anything, basically any subject, is either repetition or emotion. And
True.
music has both. I mean, you have this repetition and you have the emotion if it's a song you really like. So that really helps it stick in your mind. And you want to continue. I mean, even after you've learned a song, you don't say, "Oh, I've learned it. Now let me move on to something else." You want to revisit that song, and which is good because this is good for your long-term memory.
That's it, because if you have just a 1 hour class a week, you're just gonna forget in the next class because you're not gonna revisit that if you're not this active student, right? So people don't understand that they need, even if they have a private tutor or anything, they need to study every single day. They have to have a routine, otherwise your brain will just let it go. Even if you learn, as taking you as an example, even if you learn in fact a language and you live there, if you just move out and you never use it again, you're just gonna delete a lot of information. What is
Absolutely.
my dog is playing. Major, come here. He understands English, guys.
All right. Yeah. I was going to ask you if he speaks English. Yeah.
All day long. He understands the intonation. That's why it's important, right?
Exactly. Definitely. Yeah. But
Do you notice, let me rephrase that. When you listen to a Brazilian speaking English, how do you know it's Brazilian?
Oh, one thing is the additional vowel sound at the end of words that end with consonant sounds in English, like, the classic hachi doggy. A gente não fala hachi doggy, a gente fala hot dog. What's that? YouTube, right, exactly. Yeah, there's so many of those.
So this is the most that stands out. Any other?
Let's see. My goodness, that one stands out so much. But the thing I try to emphasize to my students, my Brazilian students, is look, there's nothing wrong with having an accent. Everybody's got an accent of some kind. And the second thing is, you are so blessed because the Brazilian accent is definitely one of the best accents to have. If you have to speak with an accent, be glad you're speaking with the Brazilian accent because, it sounds fofo. It sounds cute if somebody says hachi doggy instead of hot dog.
Yeah. Like Johnny.
Yeah.
It sounds like the diminutivo that you don't have it.
Exactly, right. And other students I have, maybe from, Russia or Eastern Europe or Germany, they may have this intimidating accent, and it's like, to the native ear, that sounds kind of intimidating. Or, a lot of the Asian ones, if they don't really reduce their accent, it can sound kind of, really annoying. So, and, but the Brazilian, it just sounds, if you haven't lost it yet, it's cute. You know, and nobody completely loses their accent. You know, if you listen to somebody a really long time, you're gonna be able to tell. I did an interview with an American English teacher, INGLêS con Shane.
I know him. Shane.
Yeah, and he's you know, he's from New York, and I'm from the southeastern U.S. First thing he asked me was, "Where are you from?" It's like, you're definitely not from New York, because there are so many different accents just in the United States. Well, even in New York, there are several different accents, and
Sure.
I know it's the same in Rio. You know, people talk about the Carioca accent, but really, there's more than one.
Yeah, there are people who have it very thick, very
Hmm.
heavy, the sh sound that we
Yeah.
say. Like we are always like shh. Gay, I would say like that.
Uh-huh.
It's totally different. Yeah. I do speak German. I learned German when I dated a German actually. But anyways, it wasn't because of that.
Ah,
It's
sometimes
because
that, yeah,
I really
that
like
sometimes
languages.
helps too.
But it sounds really intimidating at first, yeah. And people have these stereotypes in mind that you speak like with these very thick R, and
Right.
I can tell when they're German speaking English. You can say the same as Asian, as you're saying, right? Because they have tonic languages, so it's always
Hmm.
like ah 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 ah. It's totally different. At first, it's like, oh my god, how can distinguish
Exactly.
that? It's so difficult. But one thing that they have that I notice is Asians, right? They have this willingness to keep learning. They are very
Hmm.
focused, and you know, it's a bit different from Brazilians overall. I'm Brazilian. I know there are exceptions, but overall, we have this culture that we want immediate things, and that's
Hmm.
why these 3 months learn 3 months, this thing right works here, which is
Right.
insane. If you think you're gonna learn a language like that, it's insane. What level do you want? To order some coffee? Okay, fine, but
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Uh, I don't know if you know, I wrote an
I do.
ebook and an audiobook called the which one? The ebook is Fluency in Três Meses, and the subtitle is and five other e cinco mais mentiras que você tem que parar de acreditar se você quer aprender inglês. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the audiobook is all in English. It's called Fluent in 3 Months and Five Other Lies You Need to Quit Believing, because it's a
Please.
lie. It's a myth. You know, can somebody do it? Maybe somebody, but that somebody probably isn't you. You know, it's like
And this
there's
somebody
somebody who can.
has probably a background. It's not totally raw because, oh,
Right.
okay, I learned, so let me give me my statement. Right. But you probably had influence somehow. It's not
Hmm.
possible. Or you don't have a very good level of it. So it's a
It
choice, you know.
right. One of the two. Yeah.
you can have a very good result in a very short time, guys. It doesn't match. You have
Right.
to have this in mind. I mean, the how much the more effort you have, the better it's gonna be your results. It's proportional, I guess. So
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. In my book, I have several different stories. Kind of to refute the different lies. Like I don't have the dome. Now telling you I don't have the gift. Uh, so I share the story of Helen Keller. Have you ever heard of Helen Keller?
I haven't.
Okay, yeah. She was when she was, I think, 1.5 years old. She developed some kind of fever, and she went blind and deaf before she ever learned how to speak. And so people told her parents, "Well, you might as well put her away, put her in a home somewhere." They said, "No, we're going to find someone who can teach her." And it took, I think, about 6 or 7 years for them to find a teacher named Anne Sullivan. And Anne Sullivan would put her finger on her throat and put her hand underwater, and she would say, water, water. And eventually Helen understood that this teacher was saying water, water. And she actually said the word water, 7 years old, and she said her first word. And by the end of the day, she had learned 30 more words. And, she kept going, ended up getting a college degree. She ended up traveling the world. She got an honorary PhD from Harvard and other places. And so I was saying, look, yeah, you don't have the dome. Helen Keller didn't have the dome. She didn't even have hearing. She didn't have seeing, but she learned to speak English. And if she did, you definitely can. Just one of the examples I like to give.
Yeah, it's inspiring. Have goosebumps.
Absolutely. She was an amazing person. And she lived back in, she was born in the 1800s. I said, now we have the internet, so you can see great teachers like Teacher Bia, Danielson, and other people.
Like you.
But when she lived, the closest she got to the internet was one time she met Alexander Graham Bell, the guy who invented the telephone. So, we have so many advantages nowadays that people didn't have in the past. So if you want to, you can.
Yeah. Do you think we take the most out of it, or sometimes it gets in the way of,
Yeah, that's
a lot about it. I think a lot. It's like a paradox for me.
It is. I hear these productivity experts. They say if you want to be productive, you need to work in one room and have your cell phone in the other room. I say, well, most of my work is on the cell phone. So, so what can be a blessing turns into a curse. What can help us can also hurt us. And it does take discipline. It takes focus. We have to tell ourselves, okay, these next 30 minutes or whatever is only English. And I tell people, look, you really don't have to set a huge goal. Don't say, I'm going to study English 2 hours a day. Say, I'm going to study English 2 minutes a day. Because the thing is, once you get through with those 2 minutes, you're thinking, well, I've already started. I guess I'll keep going.
True.
And I say, look, that's the hardest part sometimes is just starting. So I tell my students, if you can, mark out 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening. And who knows, by the end of the day, you may accidentally study 2 hours. So
that's it.
It works.
The thing is, it's a long-term goal, right? It's learning a language. It takes a while, guys. So if you don't have this as a very, strong target, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You have to believe in yourself and promise to yourself that you'll be able to do this once you start, because it's not going to happen in 3 months. In a year you'll be a lot better, but you have a long way to go. And that keeps up. So you really have to be committed, just like I said, like set the alarm clock, I don't know, just 2 minutes, let's see, and then you just maybe you get excited and keep up, but you have to have this commitment. I always associate with going to the gym.
Perfect.
Because it's quite different when you for people in general, you see like knowledge, you don't see it's more abstract, you don't see the knowledge growing, but you do see your muscles growing. So we are very visual, so when we see that our muscles are growing, you're having a six-pack or anything like that,
right,
you get excited, because you're seeing, it's visual. You can, oh my god, okay, it's working, let's go. And you go every day. You don't go once a week. You don't go once a week. So why you want to study English once a week and expect the same results?
Right.
That's what I think. And I always compare like that. Your brain is just like your muscles. It needs this stimuli. You have to have that so that it keeps up and doesn't let out the words and forget the words that you studied the previous week. So I always have this analogy.
Yeah, and that reminds me that there's something they call the Seinfeld Technique. There's a comedian, famous, I think probably the wealthiest comedian in American history, Jerry Seinfeld. And he, has written jokes for decades. And supposedly his technique was he would get a calendar and he would just write, maybe in the morning he would write something and then he'd put a mark on that little box, like say March the 5th, whatever it is. And he'd put a mark. And then in the evening, he would put another mark after he did that. And he said, your goal, you'll mess up, you'll skip a few days, but eventually your goal is to see how many X's in a row you can see. Because like you said, we're very visual. And if you put that on your refrigerator, on your bathroom mirror, something you see every day, and you're like, oh, look, I've done 3 in a row. Let me see if I can get 4 or 5. I guess it's kind of like Duolingo with their 7-day streak, 21-day streak. Once you see that, I'm making progress even if I can't feel it. And he said, look, most of the stuff I write is terrible. It never makes it to the stage, or it makes it to the stage and then people hate it. So I leave it behind. But the way I get to the good stuff is I'm consistent. I just keep going.
That's it. This is really important, really important. By the way, I have to go back to the gym.
Me too.
Always when I talk about it, I remind myself that I have to go. Oh my God.
You sound like my friend who said, I used to lift weights, but they're so heavy. Yeah.
They are too heavy for me. I mean, I wasn't working for that at all. I wasn't. I just go, for, health purposes. You said about stand up, and this is something that I really struggle to understand, because it's not only related to English, but also about culture and references that I always, like daydream when you're cracking a joke or anything like that. What's your view?
Exactly. Yeah, because I think humor is one of the hardest things to understand in a language, because like you said, it's not just understanding the word. Usually maybe it's a pun, a trocadillo, it has double meaning, or cultural references. So once you can understand humor, congratulations, you have reached a very high level. You ought to, if you hear a joke that makes you laugh, you ought to laugh first, and then you ought to say, wow, I understood a joke. This is amazing, because humor is like harder to understand than a lot of these high level vocabulary words.
Yeah, don't mention it. For me, it's not really this thing. It's more the reference, because I'm awful even here. I don't know names of anybody. I don't know. I don't understand the jokes. I never understand jokes, so it's always very hard for me. Like, even if it's huge, it's a celebrity, I don't know the name. Only music, right? Because I do this every day. But like regarding cinema, I never know. So this is something. Do you know the singer Chris Stapleton?
Yes. I don't know much of his music, but I do know who you're talking about. I do know that name.
He's my favorite singer of all time.
Oh, really?
Really, okay. I love him. I always feel this vibe of Tennessee, because he's always singing Tennessee whiskey. All songs he has like a Tennessee word and whiskey word.
Right. That's a lot of country music. Yeah.
It is. It's really that. Do you really associate like blues with whiskey, and do you drink a lot of it? Because we don't have this habit, right? I mean, there is whiskey here because my husband loves, but overall, we don't have this culture.
Yeah, and I personally don't drink at all. I think in my case, it goes back to, here's another story. When I was 6 years old, I had to keep finding the camera. 6 years old, like my dad and I went to a gas station or something, to get gas. When he goes in to pay, and I go in with him, and he looks around and says, "You want anything, son?" I said, "Yeah, I want a beer." And he kind of looks at me. He looks at the man behind the counter. He says, "Okay." And he goes and gets a bottle of Budweiser. And the man behind the counter, he kind of laughs and pops the top off. And my dad gives it to me. Oh, that's the worst stuff I've ever tasted. And like, years later, a friend of mine went to Germany, came back with some Spaten. She said, "Hey, this is the best beer in the world. It won all these awards." And she said, "Here, try some." I was like, "I'll try a little." And I tasted, everything tastes just like that first time I tasted beer. And I'm like, no, never mind.
I feel the same. I hate beer. I hate it. I've tried German one. I've tried like homemade ones. All I can imagine, like black ones we'll have here in Brazil. In Minas Gerais, when I went there, they have this. I really hate it. I usually drink drinks like Música with lemon and caipirinha, gin. I like this kind of things, my husband said that is girly stuff.
I understand.
I hate beer. It's so bitter.
Yeah, and I've tried wine. Didn't really like wine. I've tried some of the little tropical drinks, and those are okay. But it's like, to me, they taste better without the alcohol, because I still can taste that alcohol drink. What, have you ever heard of a designated driver before?
No. What does that mean?
That's like someone who goes with people who are going to drink, and this person doesn't drink, so he can drive everybody back home. Well, when I was in college, the United States had just raised the legal drinking age to 21. And so all over the country, you had to be 21. Well, I was 18. My friends were 18. But there was one state in the U.S. that still had 18 years old, and that was Louisiana, which is also, by the way, the only state that celebrates Carnival as a statewide holiday. And so there you could go and drink. And the college I went to was very close to the border of Louisiana. So a friend of mine said, "Hey, why don't you and I go be designated drivers? I know you don't drink. I don't drink." It's like, I don't know. So I went there, and he talked me into it. I drive these 3 people to the bar, and my friend drives some people to the bar, and I'm like dying of thirst, and somebody said, "Here, have some of my Long Island iced tea." Well, I didn't know what Long Island had to do with anything. I just knew that iced tea was something I really liked. Very popular drink, chá gelado, and I was like, "Oh," so I don't. "Oh, that's pretty cool. What? Somebody put something in your tea." And then I was the designated driver, and I just drank this Long Island iced tea. And we were driving back, and the police stopped us. And I was like, "Oh no, I'm going to jail."
God.
But they actually gave me a breathalyzer test, the alcohol test, but I passed it, so it was okay. But it was a pretty crazy experience.
I find it funny because you have a lot of words for gole, like you have a sip, you have a slug, you have a lot of words for the same thing. You're very literal, like this amount, this amount is that.
Just a sip, like a gulp, a swallow.
I find it very funny. About this law, it's very different from Brazil as well, because you have this stational, is that how they say? The state stuff, like every state has a law, it's law. Don't you feel confused about what you're supposed to do or say? Because I'm a little slow. If I went there, I wouldn't process so quick from one state to another,
Right. Yeah. It's just in Louisiana has a big French influence. So that because it was founded by France. A cool story, England and France were always fighting back in the hundreds of years ago. And so all the French ended up moving to Louisiana. And then in 1803, Thomas Jefferson bought Louisiana from Napoleon. And so all these French people were living there. So if you go to New Orleans right now, it has a much more of a European feel than any other place in the U.S. is really cool. but people still,
Right.
there are still a lot of French speaking people there. Food is different, incredible. But yeah, so, and part of that culture was, no, we drink alcohol here. And the rest of the country was saying, oh, there are too many accidents, car accidents. We need to raise it. And, but Louisiana hung on to the 18 because of their culture. But eventually, the government said, okay, we're not going to pay highway funds to you. The government couldn't force them to change the law, but they said, if you don't, we're not going to give you interstate highway money unless you raise the drinking age. So a few years later, they eventually raised the drinking age to 21. So now it's all over the place.
Yeah, and I never get why you can't drink on the street. Why is that?
Right. I guess the theory is that if you're drinking, maybe you're going to drive. I don't know it.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, that's why a
Absolutely.
lot of these restaurants and bars, they will have a patio that will be off of public land. It'll be private, so people can walk around. They can drink if they want to without
Oh,
breaking the law. But then, if you go to your car, you have to get rid of everything. You can't. They have what they call an open container law. If you get caught with an open container in your car, then you're in trouble. So it's I guess
yeah.
there's so much drunk driving there. That's what they're trying to
I always
fight.
see that you cover with a bag on this.
Right. Uh-huh.
I was like, what is this bag doing there? Everybody knows it's a beer. I mean,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
everybody knows. Kids
Oh,
are too smart these days. If it's because of kids, they're too smart, man. Don't do that.
oh,
Like,
right. Yeah. They're not going to think, oh, that must be a sandwich.
right? Yeah, and what are the big differences about cultural differences that you felt from the United States to here?
Yeah. In general, okay, my part of the United States is, to
Okay,
me,
yeah,
kind
sure.
of similar to Brazil, because the people, they'll see you on the street, they'll wave to you, they'll give you a hug, things like that. I don't know if COVID has changed any of that, but that's just part of our culture. But most of the country, especially the Northeast, they're more a little more free, maybe. But Brazil,
Mhm.
people are more open, more I don't know, more
Like
fun. I
like
heard some
welcoming.
exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
And I remember after I married my wife, this missionary of all people, she was speaking in this church, and I was in there, and she saw me. She said, you know what? If you can't love a Brazilian, you can't love anybody. And I said,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
that's
super friendly. We make friendship so easily. We are amazing, the best people.
exactly right. Yeah, so
I
I
really
love that.
love us. Brazil has a lot of issues. I'm aware of that regarding, income, distribution, and things like that.
Hmm.
But we are so good people. I really like it.
Right.
It's so
Yeah.
different. Like if you go to Germany, to United States, most of the people have a lot of prejudice
Hmm.
with Latinos and everything. So I never thought, it never crossed my mind living in the United States because of that. I wouldn't feel
Right.
uh, comfortable just because I'm there. I don't want to go there just, oh, I'm in the United States. No, I I wouldn't feel so comfortable. I would see looks, and
Hmm.
it doesn't make me feel good. I would rather stay here with all the problems and everything. And it's funny because you feel the opposite, right? People just worship you, probably.
uh, I don't. Well, they definitely know I'm different. Like as soon as I open my mouth, they're like, "Wait a minute, you're definitely not
Just
from
by
around."
looking at you're too
Yeah.
white.
Right. Uh-huh. I
No way
mean,
you were tanned.
exactly. Yeah. I tell people I'm like so white that I once got a sunburn watching the full moon. It's
I always see this here. I live in Barra da Tijuca. I don't know if you know it. It's near
Okay.
the beach and it's near Rocky Rio. It's actually, I live in front of the arena. So
Oh, cool.
I can recognize a gringo just by looking down. Like you're super white, and the way you dress, you have these shorts, kind of
Yeah,
sloppy shorts like that. It's
right. Uh-huh.
it's
No
it's so
Speedos.
different.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's cool. There are some people who stay here so that they can watch the event and everything they show. But it's nice, to be able to have this conversation and to exchange those information.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
would you like to say anything? Would you like to put your YouTube channel there so people can follow you?
Yeah. Yeah. My YouTube channel is Dave Lee's English, just like
Dave
it's written. And
Lee.
I'm on Instagram too, but please follow me on YouTube or subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Subscribe
Also,
there. What do you do on your YouTube channel? Tell them.
the first thing I did over a year ago, I actually did a free course called, oh goodness, I'm drawing a blank on the name now, Dom Rock, but it's Pronúncia Plus. Yeah, so it's kind of a beta version, like an early version of my Hotmart course, which is Fala Galera. And I talk
Okay.
about pronunciation, intonation, reduction, and linking.
It's for
And
free.
for free, I have a Portuguese version, which has 47 lessons because 3 of them had technical difficulties and wouldn't upload. And then I have an English version, which has 50 lessons. And it covers a lot of this stuff. Also on Hotmart, I have my course, Fala Galera. I have that ebook and other book. The ebook and the audio book are only 20 reais a piece. So, I mean, it's really good read. Some people get the the ebook because it's in English and Portuguese. And then they get the audio book so they can listen and read. So if you want to check that out, that's cool too. And I'm hoping I can put out some more content this year.
Yeah. I'll just speak Portuguese so they can understand clearly.
Uhum.
Então, galera, ele tem um curso gratuito de pronúncia, né? Vocês que me seguem aqui no YouTube, vocês estão bastante interessados nisso, né? Porque eu ensino com música, eu falo de pronúncia, tem uma playlist aqui também completa, um curso gratuito que eu tô colocando aqui. Então, dá uma olhadinha lá na página dele, enfim, consuma esse conteúdo, né, que vai te ajudar bastante. Ele tem o sotaque dele de nativo, enfim, provavelmente bem diferente, diferente do meu, mas é legal vocês terem essas influências, né, de todo lugar do mundo, e enfim, é for free, right? So,
That's
take
right.
a look. Pronúncia Plus é o nome, ele me mandou aqui. Dá uma olhadinha lá nas redes sociais dele, segue ele. Foi bem legal. Você ter participado, muito legal. Thank you so much for being here. I think it was a very good experience for people who watch me to know how important it is to have music as something for you to attach to, for you to study with, and pronunciation. How important is pronunciation? Sometimes even more than grammar, and to being obsessed with speaking all the prepositions and in on at. Jesus Christ, guys, stop with that obsession with in on at. Stop. You can clearly understand if I say in the supermarket or at the supermarket or whatever. You will understand. I mean, it's just a preposition.
Yeah, and besides that, I was using a very famous English book today with a Brazilian student, and it was written in Britain. So they said at the weekend, but in the US we don't say at the weekend, we say on the weekend. So
that's true.
Yeah, it's not even consistent.
Varies. Yeah. Just stop being so obsessed with grammar. Just stop. It is important, indeed, it is. But it's even more important for you to put in real life and to practice, because it does nothing for you if you just study the bookish, as the news will say, the bookish English, and you don't put into practice.
Yeah, speak a little every day. Speak and listen. If you can get a friend, speak to a friend. Say, hey, for 5 minutes, we're only going to speak English. If you can't get a friend, talk to yourself.
Sure.
One of my favorite writers was a guy named Zig Ziglar. He said, I talk to myself for 2 reasons. one, I like to talk to intelligent people, and two, I like to hear intelligent people talk. So
That applies to me. Thank you so much.
yes,
But yeah,
absolutely.
how will I learn German? I mean, I can go to Germany. I can.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's too expensive. You know,
Absolutely.
our currency is, you know, lame. It's lame if you compare to others. It's too expensive. So we have to figure it out. We have to find a way to learn things that we want to through the internet. And it's everything here. It's everything here at handy. You can find easily. You can see my YouTube channel with free content.
Mhm.
You can see his and billions of others. You can search
Mhm.
whatever you want and watch
Yeah.
whenever you want. So it's
And,
as
and
simple
and
as
please
that.
remember, there are 2 times as many Bias as there are Dave. There are 2 times as many non-native English speakers as there are native English speakers. And if they did it, you can do it.
For sure, yeah. And I've never been to the US. I've never been to any
Mhm.
English speaking country. Never, ever in my whole life. So, you know, you have to really believe in yourself and try to improve every day. That's what I do. I still study. I study every single day. If you talk to me via WhatsApp, you're gonna see in the background, you're gonna listen in the background some English people, you know, from series or TV shows or an interview. I just put whatever in English so that I can get this, even though I speak English my entire day teaching, you know. But you have to have this awareness. We have to keep studying for life, guys. Sorry, but you have to study for life. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah,
That is,
just find a way to enjoy the journey. It's like
yeah,
Anita, her
yeah.
English is
She's a very good.
incredible. And yeah, but what did she do? She just found a way to enjoy the journey. She loves music, obviously, and she learned
Yeah,
a lot with music. She learned some from, you know, movies and TV, and sure, she put in the work to study as well. But because it was helping her learn music and other things,
she always
it's
says
fun.
that is the easiest way to learn through music,
Hmm.
through your
Absolutely.
passion. Yeah, I'm not gonna say
Right.
like if you don't like music, you have to say no, guys. You have to like it. If you like
Hmm.
video games, I've seen a bunch of students who are addicted to video games, and they're way better than other people who just take books and take notes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're way more. You have no idea, guys. We as teachers, we can differentiate when a person, you know, it's really making progress and a person who is kind of fooling herself.
Hmm.
We can see that, you know, and the best path is for you to follow your passion. Just, you know,
Hmm.
if you like music, let's go. Let's sing, you know,
Hmm.
sing along. I don't care if we sing out of pitch. I don't care. Just go. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
Absolutely. And make it your goal to be just a little better every day. Don't try to study 8 hours on Saturday. You know, study 5 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, 5 or 6 days a week.
True. Just like diets, right? You can cut
Hmm.
it out. Cut out or cut down. Cut down, right?
Hmm. Cut, but yeah, cut out
Oh,
as
okay, okay.
Shira completamente.
Yeah, yeah,
Cut
yeah.
down is
Completely
head of
take it.
Z.
Yeah.
So they both work.
You see, guys, I'm learning now. So you can't just cut out everything you like just, you know, at once.
Hmm.
It's just you're gonna get frustrated and you're gonna have to eat overeat it after to make up for it because you're gonna get
Right.
stressed. You're gonna
Hmm.
get stressed. So if I just take Coke out of my diet, eventually I'm gonna drink 2 liters a day because I really so it's gonna be
Hmm.
a huge mess. It's gonna be a huge mess. So just try to adapt yourself to a new routine. It needs to be smooth, and you can eat your sweets. You can watch your Brazilian stuff. It's okay. You don't have to watch American stuff all day. It's okay. But you know, push yourself to make small changes every day.
Hmm.
Small changes, right? People are asking me to teach songs here. Wait, GZ, what? Who is this person? Him and I is the band or the song? I think it's a song, right?
That's the song. Yeah, G-Eazy and Halsey.
I will take notes
Yeah.
and bring it for you. The thing is, people ask billions of songs, and I can't do all of them.
There's so many songs out there.
There's so many songs. I will take notes, Carol. Thank you so much for your contribution. Dave, thank you. Look forward to having other chats with you. I guess people liked a lot. So if you like this conversation and you want more topics and everything, just write below in the comments so we can have more chats, right? Thank you.
Sounds great. Wow. And it was a great honor and pleasure to be here with you and all your subscribers. And I look forward to the next one.
Thank you so much, hon. See you. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
See ya.